Good morning, y'all. This is Chris Beery. Welcome to this new episode of Coffee with Chris. Due to some technical difficulties, I wasn't able to upload the first round of this video, so this is actually take two. So this is a special round where I got a little bit more time to prepare and think about the message I wanted to share with you today. This morning wasn't my best morning. I set my alarm to wake up so that I would have time to go train jiu-jitsu, and frankly, it was cold, and I let the little voice in my head, my little mommy voice that likes to take care of me and love me no matter what, regardless of how well I do, or the commitments, regardless of how well I keep my commitments to myself and to others. That voice kept me in bed and hit the snooze alarm this morning. And there's a couple of different ways I could have allowed that to affect my day. The first thing that happened was, because I've been putting in the reps and doing the things that I know, I'm on a daily basis striving to have my mind in a place that allows me to perform and have the freedom to do what I want to do when I want to do it. What most people don't realize is discipline is freedom. When you do the things that you commit yourself to, you get more done. You have more time to do things that you want to do, not necessarily just the things that you have to. So when I say put in the reps, I mean put in the reps even when it hurts, when it burns, when you're lifting a weight and you fail, you set it down, you rest, you recompose, and you pick it back up. This morning I could have let that alarm clock go off, snooze it, sleep until I was comfortable, sleep until I had my fill, sleep until deep down in my stomach I just couldn't keep my eyes closed any longer. But instead, I said, it's harder now than it would have been if I had just jumped out of bed. It's only going to get harder to get out of bed, so I'm going to step my foot on the ground and start right there. That was my first mental rep of the morning. From there, I went to the gym. Again, I wasn't feeling that motivated. Today's a caffeine-free day for me, so even though it's Coffee with Chris, I've got a little bit of caffeine-free tea. And because I'm taking a caffeine-free day, I'm doing that to give my body a chance to breathe. I consume caffeine every single day, so every once in a while, it's okay to take a break. And I wasn't motivated, so I sat in the sauna. I felt some chest congestion, some sinus pressure, allergies and everything else. We've got bunnies, so their fur gets me going. And I had all the mental excuses in the world to not go to the gym. But instead of just not going, I got up and said, I'll go to the sauna. I'll go do something that I know will at least help clear me up, and then I'll go from there. And I went from going into the sauna to saying, you know what, I'll go get on the treadmill, put it on a slight incline, and just walk. And then from there I said, you know what, I've got some more energy now. I've got the blood flowing now that I've cleared up my sinuses a little bit. Let me go ahead and lower the elevation some and crank up the speed. Let me get a light jog going. And just from there, those little tiny reps of, I'm just gonna do one thing. Even if it's not, I didn't jump out of bed and say, I'm gonna go lift all the weight that I can. I'm gonna go put in the hardest workout that I can. No, I was a baby this morning. This morning, I made little decisions that kept me from being my best, but I didn't keep me from trying. I didn't keep me from doing a little better than I was at that moment. And so my message to you this morning is, wherever you're at, whatever you think you've fallen behind on, whatever you think is unaccomplishable, put in a rep. Even if it's not the best one, even if it's not the best day you've ever had, if it's not the best feeling you've ever felt, if it's not the most rewarding thing, whether that means making a hard phone call to a relative who you haven't talked to in a long time, whether that's making a phone call to a client who's been bugging you, blowing you up, needing your help, your assistance, whether that means typing a few words. If you've got a project or an essay or a paper or anything like that due at work or school, maybe you don't have the intention of going and finishing it today. But instead of letting it pressure you, instead of letting that task dawn on you even for another day, go take a little chip off of it. Start there. See how that feels. But don't let the pressure of an undisciplined life chain you down. You don't have to become Mr. Millionaire tomorrow. Mr. and Mrs. Millionaire doesn't have to happen tomorrow. All you have to do is take one step closer today. You don't have to be perfect today. You don't have to be good to start, but you have to start to be good. And that's a message that I carry with me everywhere. I think it's a Zig Ziglar quote, but it's an absolute reminder that just because maybe your day didn't get started the way it was supposed to, or your week, or your month, or your year, or a project, or a relationship, maybe things didn't get started in the right direction, but don't let that direction drive you, you're in the driver's seat. It's your mind, it's your brain. So take control, take the driver's seat. And if you don't like the direction you're headed, even if you can't take a sharp left turn, start looking for exits. Start looking for opportunities to do a little better, to get on a different path. So you might ask yourself what kind of opportunities those might be. Little things. What if you know you've consumed caffeine every day? What if you started to feel a little short of breath? What if you feel a little heavier after the holidays? Maybe there's something that feels like you could get started on today, but you probably couldn't accomplish the goal today or this week or this month. So put it off till tomorrow. I'm here to tell you one thing. The task does not become easier as you let the weeds or the root of that weeds grow deeper. It becomes harder to pull out of the ground. There's a story that I heard through my coach at Coach Alvarez, he talks about man takes his protege into the woods. This young boy, and he tells him, see that weed? Pull it for me. Pull it and bring it to me. And he takes him throughout the woods. The boy does as he says, comes back and says, now do you see that weed? A thicker weed, one that had obviously gone through a season, hasn't yet come to seed. Go and pull that. The boy pulled it from the ground, took a little bit more effort, but he was successful. He pulled the weed up from the ground, roots and all. He took the boy to a small tree and said, pull that tree for me. That tree will never get full growth. With the canopy above it, it'll always be stunted. Pull that tree for me. And the boy works, and he tries cantilevering it out, moving it one side and another, and eventually he's able to pull it out. But the root structure didn't come completely. The taproot, part of the taproot was left behind. He wasn't able to completely undo the damage that was done by that tree into the ground and into the soil around it. So then the man takes the boy and points to a 50-year oak and says, son, please pull that tree from the ground. And the boy looks at his master and says, it's impossible. I can't pull that tree. I wouldn't even try. And in that lesson, we understand the master is showing his protege that the longer you let something penetrate into your life, good or bad, the harder it will be to remove. So instead of letting that weed of your life, of that either small undiscipline in your diet, in your exercise, in your work ethic, in your relationships, instead of taking that opportunity to let that weed grow 1 inch deeper into your life, pull it now. Pull it now. And if something's so deep in your life that you can't pull it today, go get started. Start chipping away. If you need tools, go get tools. If you need people, go get people. Reach out. Ask for the help that you need, because every day that you let that little bit of undiscipline in your life take control, that's one step further you're away from getting to your end goal, from getting to the place that you want to be, the person you want to be, from succeeding, from getting the goals that you're wishing to achieve. So my message to you today, again, is put in the reps. It may not be the easiest rep, it may not be the best rep, but today do something that helps you be better, that gets you closer to where you want to be. Thanks guys for joining me. I look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow. If you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel, if you haven't found me on your local podcast or your favorite podcast streaming service, please go look for me there. If you're continuing to look for a message of positivity and growth, please join me here every morning for Coffee with Chris. Thanks guys. See you soon.